20-minute mobility. We're going to be working on front splits today. So I'm just going to wait, see if anybody else wants to join us today. We'll wait another minute, but you won't need anything in particular to do the workout today. I'm going to use a chair at some point to demonstrate. You don't need a chair, you can always use a wall or pretty much any other object. So don't worry about having any equipment. We're just gonna get started. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about front splits today. Front splits are a great tool. Most people don't need to be able to do a front split, but training for them is gonna help with all kinds of hip mobility, hamstring flexibility, hip flexor flexibility. So splits are great for any kind of athletic movement, but also just to counteract that sitting all day position. So that's why we're training splits. I can't do either split, front or side split, so I'm coming at this from a place of just trying to make it just a little bit better every single day. So to start off with, we want to talk about the hip girdle, and the biggest thing with a split is that you need strength and flexibility. Maybe when you were a kid, you could have fallen into a split, but as an adult, we need the strength to be able to pull ourselves down into a split so that we don't injure ourselves. So let's start in this half kneeling position. We're going to be spending some time on our knees today, so make sure you either have some padding or a little pillow or a mat for your knees. That way you keep it nice and comfy. Let me just, boop, okay. Okay, so from this half kneeling position, and you'll notice that I have two 90-degree angles, one 90-degree angle here and one here. I want you to put your hands on your hips, and we're just going to work on some hip tilts. So we're just tucking the hips under and then letting them fall forward. So just some little hip tilts. This is basically what we do in our cat camels here, but we're going to do them from this position so you can get comfortable with how to move your hips when you're in a split. So just get comfortable in this position. If this is really challenging for you and you feel like you're just kind of moving your whole body back and forward, that's okay. This takes a little bit of practice. If you put your hands on your hip bones, you can imagine you're holding a bucket and you want to spill the water out the front and then spill the water out the back. So you're actually rotating your hips in place. Good, and you need a little bit of glute action at the end there. Kind of tuck them under. If you get comfortable there, we're going to switch to the other side. Same thing. Maybe you'll find that one side is a little bit harder than the other. And do somewhere between 10 and 20. We want to be really warmed up for this workout because we're going to be doing some intense stretching. So a lot of this is going to be your warm-up, and then we'll do one harder exercise right at the end. Good. Okay, come back to that original half kneeling position. Now we're going to talk about squaring the hips. So when we're practicing our front split, we want to make sure that we're squaring our hips over this front leg at all times. If we're opened up, you can, it's not going to hurt you, but you're not going to get the benefits of that front split if you're not strictly trying to square your hips off. And what I mean by squaring your hips is I want you to put one hand on the inside of your knee so that it can't collapse inward. You're going to keep it pushing out, and I just want you to turn to look at me. So turn your chest, turn your belly, turn this hip. You've opened this hip up. Now turn back to the front, and now your hips are squared off. So let's try this a few more times. Just like those hip tilts, now we're kind of rotating front to side. And you'll feel this one glute kind of have to turn on a little bit. Maybe your hips start to get a little bit warm just from doing this. If it's comfortable and your knees not flying all over the place, you can put your hands on your hips and try this same thing, rotating the hips to the side and then back to the front. Good, and then switch sides, same thing. You might want to put that hand back in here to make sure that it's not collapsing inward as you rotate to the side. And I'm going through this a little bit quickly, so feel free to stay in these hip rotations or hip tilts for a little bit longer until you get the hang of them. You can always come back to this video. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about squaring the hips forward. Okay, so to warm up a little bit more, we're going to come up to standing and we're going to stretch out those hamstrings. Because this is, so let me just show you that front split. The front split, the way you want to get into it is from this half kneeling position, opening out like this. So this front hamstring is going to get a lot of work in. You're opening up this hip flexor and this hamstring. So we want to make sure that our hamstring's ready to go. So from here, we're going to come into a split stance, maybe about a foot apart, and we're stretching out this front leg, this front hamstring. So we're going to sit our hips back and stretch out this hamstring. Then you'll switch, sit the hips back, and come back up. Now, a lot of the times when people do this, they end up just collapsing forward, and they don't end up feeling anything in the hamstring because they're not allowing their hips to sit back. You'll notice this movement is not down, this movement is back. So, if you have a chair handy, or if you just have a wall nearby, you can try this out. Stand a couple inches away from the chair, come into your split stance, and then I want you to try and touch your butt to the chair. Reach for it. Really, really reach. If that's easy, come a few more inches away, and then reach again. And by doing this, you're getting a good hinge, and you're stretching out the hamstring, which inserts right underneath the butt. So you get that good stretch in. And if that feels comfortable, you can put the chair away, you can keep using the chair, you can reach for the wall. That's another good option. Let's do like 10 of these on each side. Take your time. And remember, just keep reaching back. If you want to come forward, you can, but you're not really going to get a lot of extra. You'll notice this is all spine. I'm already stretching out the hamstring. This doesn't add to it. The way you want to add to it is, again, reaching back. Good. Okay. If you want to keep doing those, keep getting warmed up. If your hamstrings don't feel ready, continue doing your single leg hamstring stretches. To move on, we are going to do my favorite thing, and what we've done probably a million times at 20-minute mobility is hip cars. So our hip circles. Go ahead and find something to hang on to, and we're going to start these nice and slow. This is going to work that whole hip joint and prepare it for some movement. So first things first, bring the knee up as high as it can come. Really try and get it really as high as it goes. Keep this foot nice and active. And then we're going to open it out to the side. From here, leave the knee where it is, but reach the ankle up. It's really hard. And then push back through that heel. Push, 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 like you're pushing on a button. And come all the way around. Leg comes back in line with your standing leg. Back in the other direction. Push back through the heel like you're pushing on a button. Watch that low back. You don't want to arch. You want to really turn that glute on. And then up and over a hurdle. Back to that same starting position. You should be able to feel that hip really working as you do that. Okay, other side. We'll just alternate sides, and then you can do as many as you'd like. We'll just do 2 on each side for today, but if you're feeling like you really need more of a warm-up, do more. Leg up as high as it goes, open up like a barn door. Don't let the whole body open up, just the leg. Leave the knee where it is and start to rotate the heel to the ceiling. Woo! Push back through the glutes. Push, 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 push. Oh my God. You'll notice that knee drops a lot. That's okay. And then in the other direction, push back through that glute, up and over a hurdle. Oh, good. Other side. Go ahead and take these at your own pace, but slow it down. If you rush through this, you're never going to feel it. I really want that hip to be ready for some work. Up to as high as you can. Open up. Rotate through. The heel, push, push, push. And then back in the other direction. Push through the glute. Make sure that core is nice and tight. Activate the belly button. Up and over the hurdle and back to the starting position. Oh my God. Okay. Other side, last one. Up as high as you can. Rotate out. And then lift the heel to the ceiling. Lift, lift, lift. Push back through the heel. Woo! That glute should be lit up. And then back the way you came. Up, 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 up. And up and over that hurdle. Oh, okay. Excellent job. If you need a few more hip cars, please go ahead and do them. I don't want you to be cold when we go into our split exercises because you really want everything to be nice and lubricated and warm when we start. Okay, so like I showed you before, that split is about stretching out the back hip flexor and then the front hamstring. So we want both of those things to be really, really strong, and we want to be able to pull our hips down to the ground. We're not just letting them drop, we're actively pulling them down. So we're going to work that by doing the opposite. I want you to get into a nice wide split position. And we have two options here. I want to make sure that your ankle stays right under your knee, just so that you don't put a lot of burden on this knee. You can either start here, if you want to hold on to something, or if you have like a dowel you can hold on to, that's fine. You can either just pulse here, push your hips, pull your hips down to the floor here and back up. If that's enough of a stretch for you, you're really trying to get this back leg to be at a 180-degree angle, because that's how it would be if it was flat against the floor. So you can either pulse here, or the harder version is you stay down in this lowered position and then tuck those back toes under, and I want you to try and straighten the knee. You're not lifting up. All you're doing is straightening that back knee. We're gonna do this for 10 times. So either you do your 10 pulses or 10 straightens of the knee, all right? Hands up, or you can keep them here, but try not to put too much pressure on your knee. Here we go. Straighten. Woo! Feel that hip flexor extend. Oh, good. And then sit back. If you want to, you can come down into a child's pose, stretch out that back, stretch out the hip flexors, roll the hips around, whatever you need to do, and we're gonna switch sides. So again, come nice and wide, and you can either make this a pulse down. You'll notice as I pulse down, my hips are coming down to the floor, my knee is not going straight over my toes. The whole time, my knee stays right over the ankle. Oh God, I have a dog, and he's trying to get in. So you can either do these pulses or the knee straightens. We're gonna go for 10 reps. Here we go. Good job. All right, keep going with those if you haven't finished. If you have, feel free to roll out those hips a little bit. Oh, good. That might get your heart rate up a tiny bit. Okay, and again, make sure you have some good padding under your knees because this is putting a little bit of pressure on them. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is, that was kind of working on that back hip flexor. Now we're gonna work on the front hamstring. So what that's gonna look like, it's gonna look a lot like those single leg hamstring stretches we already did, except it's gonna be done from this half kneeling position. What I want you to do is, again, stacking the knee right over the ankle. We're going to sit the hips back and try and straighten that knee. If the toes come up, that's awesome. You can come down to put your fingers on the floor. If you need a little extra help, you can grab some blocks or some books to reach down and put your fingers there. So we just want to get this knee straightened out, and we do that by sitting our hips back. We're also working a little bit of that balance, because if we're in a nice straight line here, it's going to be a little wobbly. All right, let's go for 10. Sit back. Whew. And to get a little extra, you can come a little bit farther forward over this thigh. Good, switch sides. Nice job, good. Okay, come down onto your butt. We're gonna just windshield wiper those knees back and forth. Try and relax the hips, relax the legs, get any good little cracks out. Good, keep going. My battery keeps getting low. Oh boy. And I've got a dog click-clacking around on the other side of this door. Okay, last thing we're gonna do is a front split. So now that you've done all those exercises, I'm sure you'll be able to do a front split just like that, right? We're just gonna get into a front split position and see where we are, because this is a good place, good time to kind of see where you're at in this front split, and then you know where you can go from there. I would also love it, for those of you watching, to take a photo of where you're at and tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook, just so I can see what you guys are working on. All right, so kind of scooch that heel nice and wide, and ideally we want to be standing up through here. That way we get this nice good hip flexor stretch. Whoa, big stretch. So I still got a ways to go, but feeling good about the progress we made today. And you can hold this. I'm not gonna have you hold it with me, but see if you can hold this for about a minute. Switch sides if you want. lot more stable to me. So I know I'm stronger probably in this hip flexor. Whoa, I'm shaking so bad. Okay, go ahead and hold those on your own. Take a photo, let me see what you got going on, and I will see you guys next week. We're gonna work on side splits. Bye, Strength Palace.